believe. Hold on, talk a moment for me, please.
Hello.
Testing,
Okay, yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, the sound's working.
Hooray.
Alright,
Yep, it's live for me.
there we go.
Yeah, it's working.
Sorry for that slight delay, but for some reason OBS didn't want to instantaneously. I mean, obviously there's a slight delay, but there was a bit much of a delay to actually get up. Welcome to AD Talks again. We'll just jump right into it. I'm here with Ernya, co-host again. And
Hello.
we have Rogmasha as well, the guild leader of the Frozen Paw clan.
Yeah, hello.
Normally we'd start with a slight, descriptions of RP experiences and stuff, but I see, seeing as we're going to be asking questions about their guild, it sort of ties into the whole question anyway.
Yeah, perfect. We can jump right into it.
Yeah. We'll jump right into it. So, yeah, Frozen Paw clan, tell us a little bit about the guild, what's it about,
Yeah, so basically story-wise, we launched back during the Siege of Orgrimmar in Mr. Pandaria as kind of a response both to Horde sentiments in terms of like racial supremacy and everything, but also opinions within the Darkspear Rebellion itself about who should be welcome and who shouldn't be welcome in the Horde. So it's kind of been a continuing project of expanding the ideas behind Thrall specifically, and also characters like Drekthar and Varrock Sorfang.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting considering when you compare to the direction the lore has actually gone since then.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting time for us in Battle for Azeroth, and we are kind of aware of that, following that very closely.
Well, what was the intent? I know you sort of explained a bit about what was the full intent when creating the guild,
Yeah, so basically, when the guild launched, there was a very big shortage of kind of, I don't want to say peace-loving guilds, but guilds who were trying to go about conflict roleplay a different way than I want to resolve everything with PvP, basically.
Yeah.
So a lot of what we've done in the past, and I kind of want to do in Battle for Azeroth as well, is exploring what happens when two factions in conflict have to encounter a situation where they actually have to cooperate for some reason, for example.
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of diving right through the questions now. How long has your guild been around then?
So the current iteration of the Frozen Paw clan has been around since Mr. Pandaria. We've undergone leadership changes 4 times. Yeah, originally from my old character Holthrak, and then twice after that. And before that, it was like I had something called Warband of the Wolf, which was a kind of similar concept related to the Frostwolf clan that started back in Wrath of Lich King.
Oh, you're the original creator then, yeah?
Yeah, I am. Well, technically, I am a friend. I was an officer of the original creator, but he basically left the game for Guild Wars after 2 months of running the guild, and he left it to me, basically.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Technically, you were there at the start either way then.
I was there at the start, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 2 months compared to however long it's been since Rogmasha.
It's hard to keep track of time, but
How do you decide if a character fits into your guild then,
so there's we have a pretty open recruitment policy, and we've kind of gone back and forth, me and my officers, about this a lot over the years. Generally, what we look for in characters is whether we see a character that is like open to being developed. Like, we don't want a character who basically has a player who intends them to stay the same the whole way through.
Yeah.
We want character development. That's kind of our main concept for people.
All right.
And then for characters itself, it's like, what is their opinion on the upcoming war? Is a kind of common question at the moment. Like, how do they see the conflict coming up? What do they intend to do themselves? What are their plans? And how do they intend to deal with what's coming up?
Pushing upon that further, seeing...
Yeah.
Go on, Anya, because
I was to say, you do seem quite focused on that point of conflict, which I think works really well with it's World of Warcraft.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's an interesting way to see, because we have so many guilds who, like you say, just want to fight the guys. And that's the roleplay. But it's interesting to also explore the sort of other ramifications of conflict within roleplay.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
kind of linked
I mean,
into a
just
lot like the adventure
uh,
guild side.
yeah, just to give an example, over the past 6 months, we've had a lot of characters die. We've had a lot of characters suffer basically like very, very severe post-traumatic stress disorder and having to undergo long terms of not necessarily treatment, but figuring out who they are again and having to deal with the consequences of war, basically. Even though it's relatively peaceful, obviously, it ups the stakes for us a bit to know there's a war ahead.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, Interesting development on that front, though. Obviously, you have characters who sort of clash with their ideals of should we fight, should we not, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
Recently, I've already mentioned this in private because this is Dempsey as a character was, but previously in the guild
mhm.
as well, who has gone from being all for the horde, but now being neutral, basically.
Yeah.
Do you have any other characters who have those sort of ideals in the guild, you know, where they kind
We
of at the
have people.
center, basically?
Yeah, we have people both outside, like friends of the guild or former guild members, and current guild members who are very much, very wary of the current developments. I think Rogmasha herself, as a character, sees the horde more of as more of a spiritual thing. That giving up on it is kind of giving up on her purpose. So she's not going to leave herself, but you can understand people wanting to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like political beliefs. Well, maybe it's sort of like a specific political party versus like a political view as a whole.
Yeah, it's like political party versus political ideology, basically. For her.
Yeah, that's a better way of saying it.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about some of the adventures you might have, some that stood out for you over the years, basically.
Over the years, I can look back at some of the like really old stuff which happened in terms of conflict roleplay. I think what happened. What was the event we had in Desolus where like I think it was Swifthand who set that up back in the day, where it's basically an interesting concept of the Horde and the Alliance, and I think the Twilight's Hammer clan go to Desolus because everyone knows there was a bow there, and both the Blood Elves and the Night Elves staked a claim to it, and then both factions were trying to get control of that bow. But at the same time, the Twilight's Hammer clan knew the bow was powerful, that they were trying to claim it off of both parties by making them fight each other, which presented a really interesting dynamic because a
Who
lot
got the
of
bow in the end in that one?
I think the Horde got it.
Ah.
But what was interesting going on as well is we ended up, even just from a purely in character perspective, setting up a lot of meetings and summits to deal with. Well, look, we're in a zone that's not controlled by any faction. The biggest faction presence here is the Cenarian Circle. How do we deal with the consequences of this? And in the process, like it brought up a lot of old character conflict between Rogmasha and some other characters, but the whole like continuous development of those stories was really interesting.
Yeah, conflict roleplay can always go either way, really.
So what would you say, like, if you had to say your guild does like a specific type of event, so there's one type of event maybe you do more than others, which I think a lot of guilds have. What would talk us through, I guess, a typical event for your guild?
So I would say we kind of run two kinds of events. We run what are basically kind of inner guild focused events, social events, like training events, keeping people in shape and in form, and visiting various characters from other people, like guild member storylines and such. And then we do inter guilds events, which is something I'm trying to set up a lot more for Battle for Azeroth. But basically, as emergent roleplay, trying to set up adventures with other guilds and figuring out. So we like, just to say an example, we recently went to Pandaria with the Bloodstained Unity, just kind of as a spur of the moment thing, and figure out, well, we can see this piece of the world that seems like it was one of the places that got hit really hard in the last war, but whether or not it's going to be a factor in this war, we don't really know. But we kind of want to see it before it's destroyed, maybe, because it's one of the last really. It has one of the last really peaceful places on Azeroth.
Yeah. I think Myrmidon did something similar to that when we went to Pandaria. That was kind of the vibe. But it's a great vibe to have. It's a really nice place to do it.
Yeah.
It's cool. There's nice settings for it. I mean, got straying away from the events and stuff. But how about your current member base? Well, tell us a little bit about them. You know, is there anyone you like to talk about a lot, and anyone that stands out character-wise?
I mean, I was
Anyone
gonna,
you want to talk shit about? I'm
yeah,
sure enough.
you can
yeah,
do
of
that
course,
as well.
of course. Yeah, I mean, what we've kind of always had in the guild is we have a core member base of maybe 10 to 15 people.
Hmm.
And then because we're like pretty open about our recruitment policy and how people come and go, like our policy is basically you can join and leave whenever you want, both in character and out of character. That's fine by me. And so that means we have a core of about 10 to 15 people, and then a lot of hangers on that are basically around whenever they feel like or whenever they had the time for it. We have a few members who are not very active at the moment due to work and such, but they're there when they can and when they can contribute, basically.
Yeah.
In terms of members who I particularly like have a liking to at the moment, it's probably my current officer base. I've struggled for a long time with figuring out how to set up an officer base that I think works. Because how do you pick a good officer, and how do you figure out who you want to be leading, both from an out-of-character perspective and an in-character perspective?
Yeah, that's always a really interesting decision to
Yeah,
make.
and what I've discovered is that the characters that were picked to be officers initially were not necessarily too keen on the role as characters. But I would say both the players and the characters themselves have really gotten into the role in a really interesting way in terms of character development just by itself.
Yeah. That's always one of the most interesting things that happens with when you make people officers like that in character.
Yeah,
development.
exactly. Like what happens when you give someone responsibility, or you give someone a stage basically to work something.
Cool. So could you share any like examples of characters off the top of your head? Like just ones you think maybe are cool or particularly stand out to you within your guild? No, not picking favorites, obviously. For
I
like,
mean, it doesn't even have to be current ones, could be past ones as well.
yeah, give us some flavor.
Ones that have, you know, kind of progressed in ways that you didn't really quite expect and fit into that sort of role, you know?
I mean, I don't know if any of you know the character Chuka.
I think I might slightly remember them.
Yeah,
don't know
you remember
anybody.
you remember her as the character, like the very very hyperactive Pandaren who was
Yeah.
always
yeah,
kind of cheery.
yeah.
Yeah, she's undergone a lot of change since then. We went on a storyline which was fantastic about basically her personality at that time was something being molded and controlled by I think it was a shadow priest of some kind, who was basically using her as a tool
Yeah.
to get close to people. And then, like towards the end of that storyline, we discovered the person underneath that like shell basically that was built, and it was kind of a second personality, and that's still an ongoing thing, figuring out who that was and how to talk with them again.
Yeah.
But the character now is very serious, very down to earth, very I would almost say depressed, really. But it's been an interesting.
Well, you would be.
I'm sorry, Ernya, I'm about to turn into a crab.
Well, I'm not watching the stream.
Good.
Don't worry. I just checked the chat on occasion.
Okay. Well, okay, sorry, where were we? What does your guild do during its downtime then? You know, do they have a specific hangout? Do they have any specific social, you know, interactions they do?
I mean, yeah, we generally just hang around wherever we are. Like if we're not on any campaigns or anything, we're in Orgrimmar. If we're not in Orgrimmar, we're on campaigns, so we're in whatever settlement is active. Like, I am very happy that my members are generally pretty good at generating their own roleplay. I don't necessarily need to like say, come on, let's go do stuff to get them to do stuff.
That's always a nice thing to have as well. So what, like, I haven't roleplayed in Orgrimmar for years. What's it like? I mean, a lot of people have. I know it's quite an active scene. Just in case somebody here does. What's it like?
I was gonna say, if you haven't roleplayed there in years, I would probably. Can you describe to me what you remember, so I can probably get a reference?
Basically, everyone. Well, I didn't really go very often. The odd times I did, I was there with like a guild on some other business. But if I got like some time away, I would find what I always do when I got time aside from whatever I'm supposed. Like the main thing is, I just go sit in the closest tavern because that's always a safe roleplay spot as far as I'm concerned. quality varies sometimes, but you see something. And it was just the tavern in the Valley of Honor, and I don't remember any. There's a lot of goblins were around, so I think it must have been just after Cataclysm. And I just remember a lot of goblins and a lot of orcs, and not really much.
So you'd be probably pleasantly surprised that there's been a lot of development on that front. Orgrimmar is not as exclusively like Kalimdor horde races as it used to be.
Yeah.
At the moment, we have a big guild of the Nightborn Shelterite people called the Duskwatch Outriders, which
Oh
is
yeah.
like it's really weird to see them sometimes because they just turn up in huge numbers out of nowhere, and all of a sudden half of Orgrimmar is basically elves.
Yeah.
So,
It's so weird how that happened. Well, not. It's kind of cool because it's like out of character. What your in character would feel like. Holy shit! There's these weird elves everywhere.
yeah.
It's kind of meta. But like I was at an event in Area 52 a couple weeks ago, and they're set up out there as a guild of them.
Yeah, they seem to be very, very travel active.
Yeah, it's cool. I like it.
And then, yeah, in general, I mean, in terms of what other guilds are around, haven't really changed. But I guess we've gone from having a lot of orc clans back in the day to having a lot of like mercenary groups and warbands. But now we're going back to orc clans again. I noticed in the past, I think 2 weeks, I've seen 5 new orc clan guilds.
Yeah, it always hops between them. Your guild does a lot of traveling then, right?
Yeah, when we can get around to it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, if there's anyone interested in joining your guild, where would they be able to find you, or how do you go about joining your guild, you know?
So normally what you would do is, like what most people do really, is contact one of our officers out of character, or really just one of their members. They'll be able to point you to an officer. And then the joining process is basically an in-character conversation, and maybe like our officers reading over your roleplay profile just to make sure there's nothing in there. We have specific rules that we want you to follow. They're not particularly strict, just basic things like don't be a dick and don't bring in 13 plus material, and that's really about it.
Oh, cool.
Alright. Anything else you want to add? Anything your members might want to add about your guild?
I noticed my officer, Tactical Necromancy, is Lancelis is in the chat. So I don't know if they want to add anything.
I
Yeah,
remember
come on.
Lancelis.
Give us all the shit.
I don't think Lancelis was active though when I was in the guild.
Yeah, he's on and off, but he's
Yeah.
pretty active at the moment, actually, yeah.
Good guy. Good guy.
If they're responding, I'll give it a moment. But meanwhile, thank you for joining us. This is pretty quick, quick questions, easy to answer, nothing complicated. Gives you a bit of information about your guild. In future, we might have you again if you want to come back and talk about something else
tell
as
us
well.
through what you've been doing.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, a follow-up on what we actually end up doing in Battle for Azeroth might be interesting, because at the moment I have, like, a faint outline of what I want to do, but I have no idea where it's going to go.
Oh, if you want to share that, that'd
Yes,
be fun.
sure. So what we've kind of, I've been, like, debating internally is how does a guild that wants peace, but not peace by way of extermination, how do they react to seeing basically the Horde launch face first into another war that the Alliance seems all too eager to join into as well?
Yeah.
And I think what we're going to do is we're going to play off themes of like the Alliance being the light and the Horde being kind of the shadowy, with Sylvanas using shadow magic all of a sudden, and go like kind of a third way. Like that's a very popular political term, but figuring out
the middle man, basically.
Yeah, like figuring out how do we deal with this, and how do we make sure like the planet is dying? How do we confront that? How do we make sure there's a world left after the war?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting aspect. Again, that's the aspect I'm exploring on Dempsey if I do get the chance to roleplay. So I mean, I might have some interactions there with Rogmasha again at some point. Who knows?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting roleplay for anyone who wants to join in that. Really, I recommend the guild personally. I mean, that's it from me. I don't have any more questions. I don't know if Ernya has anything that he wants to add.
Nah, I'm all good. You've been very thorough. Thank you very much.
Yeah, straight to the point. Works for me.
Timing just about works out as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to probably move on to talking briefly about a few events up and coming, which means Rogmasha is free to step out or stay in if he wants
Yeah,
to.
I'm supposed to be like half
Yeah.
hosting, half joining an event in about 8 minutes, so I'm gonna step out. Thank
Yeah,
you very
no
much
problem.
for having me on, and good luck with everything.
It's been a pleasure. See you,
Cool.
dude.
Yeah, pleasure. See ya.
Again, if there's any other people that want to, join in as a guild leader and get interviewed, we're doing it at the end of each month. So
Yeah, pass to your guild leaders.
technically, we'll have a lot of time for that. If you have any events you want to promote, or always come contact me or Ernya. We also have a Discord for that, really. So I'll move right on to it now. First up, we've got the Drums of War, which I've already briefly talked about in the past. I
Yeah,
believe
just to highlight the segment, we are now moving on to discussing upcoming events in the next few weeks, which you might be interested in. You probably know a bit about them already.
the Drums of War, which is, I believe, to do with the burning of Teldrassil, hosted by Silesia. I can't remember when it starts specifically, otherwise I'm blind to when it is, but I believe it's in July at some point. You can always look on the forums for it. It might be something fun for you to say, oh, my character was during the burning of, Teldrassil, or...
Oh, it's not. Is it actually set at the burning of Teldrassil, or is it just like the build up?
I believe it's a build up towards it, so the ending might have it, burn, because I believe they're starting from a point where the Horde are invading Ashenville.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, it's timed in with like the pre-patch stuff. That'd be cool. That will be cool then. I fucking love it. The events based around that.
They're doing a lot of World Quest themed events as well, the sort of thing I did with my campaign as well.
Yeah,
there'll be
that's
random things
awesome.
popping up now and again where you can kind of go over your guild and have someone DM for you, or someone else will DM it. Sort of
Shout
fun
out
and
for
games.
events like that. I remember when I was in Storm and Infantry, the Cataclysm pre-patch had like burning elementals show up in Storm and all over the place, and they put sandbags everywhere, and that was awesome because like it felt like just normal dudes fighting these huge fire things and like getting the shit kicked out of them. And my character lost all his hair and was bald for the rest of his life after that.
It gives you more to do during the campaign rather than waiting all the time for the main storylines. There's always these side things to do, which is fun to do, really.
That's also true. You can go and try and do them in character, and it won't work because it's cross-realm. But the idea is that
There
you
is
can do it in Raid, mute say.
There is also Timotar's event, who I believe is watching at the moment as well.
Shout out Timotar. We love you.
Yeah, we do. We do love you.
It's true.
The Jurinator, I hope I pronounced it correctly. I mean,
Let me have a
how
look.
do you even pronounce it? No one speaks Darnasian in real.
Let me see. Hold on, I'm getting out.
Yeah, Jurinator.
Jurinatore, I reckon.
Probably. The Great Hunt. Brief description of it. At the beginning of the summer, when the sun's power is at the strongest, we gather to celebrate Jurinatore, the Great Hunt, a cultural celebration in honor of Milorn and balance between predator and prey. To highlight some of the features during the event, because that's how we're going to skim through these rather than go into too much detail. It's there's going to be like time to socialize. There's going to be the Great Hunt, which is a lot of like riddles involvement and towards finding the white stag.
Cool.
Whoever wins that gets a prize from what I know and a title, if I remember correctly. There's going to be an offering ceremony hosted by my Fundus towards Milorn, and celebrations after that. This is on the 28th of June at 7:30 realm time.
Do you remember that time I tried to get you guys to hunt a stag and you just fucking decided to let her walk away?
Look, we're just too nice of a guild when it comes to animals.
Oh, like for 2 days. Hey, find this stag. I even specified it's old and dying, so like kill it. It's a sacrifice. And they were like, no, we'll just let it suffer in the wild instead.
See, we won't kill the stag, but we'll kill people who didn't even threaten to kill us to begin with. They just kind of, were wary of us.
Yeah, and then you just killed the people straight up.
That was Naren. Anyway, moving on to the next event. Tavern in the Mist, Hot Springs. Alliance and Horde, I believe it's more Alliance catered, but Horde are welcome. There's obviously going to be the, language boundary, but people always find a way to work for it either way.
Yeah, come up and show off your guild fans.
27th of June, 2008, 2018. Why am I saying 2018?
It's 2008.
Yeah, it's definitely this year. It's at 8 o'clock realm time. It's a brief description of it. Every month or so, Liao of Krasarang of the Pandaria Tourist Board manages to negotiate 3 evenings with a tavern of mist to host a variety of people from across Azeroth. Here, they can enjoy the calm atmosphere in the best hot spring Pandaria has to offer. So you have like spa, social,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So it's pretty relaxed, a relaxed atmosphere. If you want to go there and interact with other people, go for it. Razor Hill Village Hours, I've been to one of those. I think Minato or Karena has been to those as well. It's pretty fun. There's sometimes, I mean, the time I went, I don't know if there's more like it. The time I went, there was a few events to get involved with. You know, a bit of a spa and a bit of
Village
storytelling.
hours. Yeah, village hours are usually great because people can just bring whatever they want
Yeah,
in terms of roleplay, and then other people can participate.
you can do whatever you want with it, basically. There's
You can even just go and sit there AFK and just watch everyone else the whole event. And people do that, and that's fine.
apparently the next one's going to have bands in it, so if you want to see a
Band?
band, go for it.
Oh my god! Like, ooh,
Sounds like fun.
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty much it for Village Hours. There's not really much you can say description-wise. It's on the 30th of June. I'm not sure if it reoccurs every Saturdays. I might be wrong, but it's always up on Argent Archives whenever it is going to be up. You can always look up there. 8 o'clock realm time. Gearfist Market. It speaks for itself. It's pretty much a market. You can open up your own store there. You contact one of the Gearfists. Ideally, it's on the 30th of June at 8 o'clock in Draenashar Blockade, which is just outside Orgrimmar.
Orgrimmar. That's the front gates.
Yep. The front gates of Orgrimmar from Duratar's side, yeah. It's it's pretty much a market. The same thing for the next event, which I'll be explaining as well. Midsummer Market, which is an Alliance one. And it's hosted by the Eastern Maritime League and Silverleaf Society on the 5th of July, 8:30 p.m. all the way till midnight. It's between the harbour and the entrance to the park. There's like the archway sort of entrance. I'm sure people know what I'm talking about.
That's always a pretty place.
It's from the harbour up to there. There's going to be the description says, welcome to the second annual Midsummer Market being hosted by the Eastern Maritime League and the Silverleaf Society. Come out for a night of entertainment and good food and memories that will last a lifetime. Also, 30% of all profit taken in by the league will go to Elwyn Education Centre Fund to aid our youth. While all donations taken from the Silverleaf Society will go directly to it.
Don't do it. Don't go. You're funding child role players.
Of course, much like the Gearfist one, you can sign up for your own stall, and you can also sign up as an entertainer for this one as well. So there might be some fun things there. It's a shame. I'm not sure actually if the Fablewind Fair is around anymore, but if they are, you might be able to see them then. They're always great fun to interact with. That's it from us though. I mean, finished even earlier than I expected, honestly.
Yeah,
Half an
that's
hour.
crazy.
Yeah. AD roundup. I'll try keep this going every, at the end of every month. Maybe we'll make it more reoccurring if there's more stuff happening. But
I think there will be. That's like summer is always when people roleplay because I'm not gonna lie, you kids are all off school.
can I say thank you to Vashnu and Viva Alice, which I believe is Ernya's girlfriend, or am I wrong?
Yeah,
But-
no, that's fine.
Thank you both for the subscription. It's always nice to feel supported.
Yeah, thanks guys. He cries when he doesn't get subs, so you gotta.
Yeah, I
come
cry.
on. He calls me up at midnight crying. He's drank half a bottle of whiskey. He's been like, I just need more subs. Then my life will work.
I'd probably be sleeping rather than calling you. Yeah, you get that neat little note there. Yeah, thank you guys. Subscribe, follow, save on YouTube. I'll put this up on YouTube. People can watch it. I'll see if I can, after the event tonight, maybe tomorrow, I'll try write up all the events onto the forum and put up there for you to see. We'll try give you a written version of the guild interview with Rogmasha as well,
Oh, that'd be nice.
if I can get that together. Just entirely depends on the heat right now, because the heat kind of makes me not want to bother doing much.
Yeah, the heat is killing me. I'm not gonna, even today, is why I'm so tired.
Yeah. We have an event to get to soon, so
Yeah, we're getting a special event. Ooh,
yeah,
just for me and Fuse. It's gonna be so cute. We're
Yeah,
gonna
we're
have
going on a
wine,
date.
cuddle. Yeah,
I'm
Ooh.
taking your
don't say it.
I'm taking him. Alright.
Alright, well thanks for listening everybody.
Yep. Cheers. See you
Oh
guys.
my god.
Right, let's stop this.